Come on, we all knew that he didn't want to go. Hello interwebs, I hope you're all doing well because I am doing ridiculously well today because we have gotten a ton of Doctor Who news and I am like so incredibly pumped and excited about all of it. I am just, it's such a nice feeling to be like actively excited for Doctor Who on so many different levels, and I am here to talk about it with all of you. My boy David Tennant, look at his smile face right there, he's back. And also beyond this guy, we got a transgender companion. I'm so excited to talk about it. Oh my god. I'm so excited about all of this news, and I do have some hesitations and concerns, but overall I'm just generally just glowing with positivity over all of the news. And one piece of news that I did not cover, I think it was last week when it got announced, is the fact that we got the announcement of the brand new 14th Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa. And I apologize if I say his name wrong. I can never pronounce like anybody's name, so apologies to the actor. I am probably mispronouncing that right off the top. But I am very excited to see him in the role of the 14th Doctor. He looks like a great fit for the role. I adore the fact that he is the first black person in the lead role of the Doctor, obviously Jo Martin being the first black person and first woman of color to play the Doctor, so don't take that away from her. But to have him as a man of color in this role, I think is so fantastic and absolutely wonderful. And while I have not seen Sex Education, which is the show that he is from, even though it kind of sounds right up my alley, I love the teen angst, love that stuff, so I will check it out at some point. But from just everything I've seen from his like such kind, warm, energetic attitude to the just scenes that I've seen him in on YouTube, he just seems like he has the talent, the mindset, the kindness and joy for this role that I think is just perfect for it. And I will say, I do echo some people's concerns about like, oh, they're going back to a man after having a woman, and that could be taken as a sign that like, oh, a woman didn't work out in the role and that they'll never go back to it. I don't necessarily see that being the case in terms of that idea. I definitely think a woman doctor is still very much on the table. I am a little bit saddened by the fact that that could be the narrative that some groups will take it, but those groups are always going to take the narrative in the way that's like, see, look, the woman didn't work. Like, those people are always going to take that route of trying to prove that any type of diversity in a role is somehow detrimental to the stories being told. And look, I am by no means defending Chris Chibnall here. There's been some things that I've liked here and there, but overall I've just been very down on him and his era that had nothing to do with Jodie Whittaker or Jodie Whittaker's acting or the fact that she's a woman. It had to do with, I think, very unfortunate writing choices and decisions that I just thought flat out did not work. But Gatwa just seems like he is just perfect for the role, and I am sure we'll see another female doctor at some point down the road. Again, a little saddened by it, but the fact that we have this wonderful actor in the role makes me very excited regardless. And by the way, if you want more good thoughts about Gatwa as the actor, basically all the things that I think are echoed by my friend Vera Wild over on her channel, so you can check out up here, I've linked her video about her reaction, and pretty much everything she said I would very much echo. So go check that out if you want more of her thoughts and vicariously my thoughts on that as well. But that being said, let's get to this guy first, and then we will get to the new transgender companion as well, because I have so many thoughts about both of those things. But we did get the news that David Tennant, the 10th Doctor himself, and Donna Noble are both coming back for the 60th anniversary special, which will be coming out next year in 2023. So first off, let me just say, I am so freaking pumped for this. David Tennant is easily by far my favorite Doctor. I grew up with him when I was a little kid. Christopher Eccleston was my first Doctor, and I love him, and I've been adoring his return to Big Finish. Like, if you haven't listened to his Big Finish audio dramas, go listen to them. The Ninth Doctor adventures are fan-freaking-tastic. Or should I just say fantastic, because that's his thing. But they're wonderful. But David Tennant was always the Doctor that I loved. I loved him being a bit more of an arrogant Doctor, a little bit more kind of full of himself, and that sort of leading him down this path of his ultimate downfall towards the end of time. And I thought his ending, like, I still watch his final monologue, even though the end of time is not a great episode, two-parter. His final monologue just still always brings me to tears. Just his arrogance and just wanting to not die, and yet still willing to do the good thing in the end. I personally loved that arc for him, and he was just, I adore him so much. No shade at the rest of the Doctors, like Matt Smith I love as well, Peter Capaldi I love as well, and Jodie I find elements of her that I like, even though I love her. And of what I've seen of the older Doctors, I like them too, but David Tennant, I think just, he speaks to me on so many levels. And of all the companions, Donna Noble is a personal favorite of mine from his, and it is so nice to see her back. I love the fact that she was just a friend of the Doctor, and they just got to be platonic friends, just hanging out all the time, and Catherine Tate just did such a wonderful job. Now, Russell T Davies has played coy a little bit about what version of David Tennant and Donna Noble we will see. He said it might be a flashback, might be a dream. My guess is probably this is the 10th Doctor coming in at like an untold story during their trips in Series 4. Because David Tennant has not noticeably aged at all because he's an actual Time Lord. Like Nicolas Cage, he's probably a freaking vampire. But also, and spoilers here if you don't want any spoilers for Doctor Who, just to let you know, skip ahead a few seconds, but there has been some set photos of filming going on for the 60th anniversary special, and we see David Tennant in a slightly tweaked but still very recognizably 10th Doctor outfit, which is just cool to see him back in that. Like, oh my god, I'm very excited about it. So I think that that's probably going to be the case, but just seeing them back on screen, I'm honestly, especially being written by Russell T Davies as well, I think it just makes me so excited. And yes, it's hitting the nostalgia buttons, I get it, but for a 60th anniversary special, I am actually totally fine with my nostalgia buttons being pushed. That's what they're kind of there for, to be big and exciting, but just kind of like, do you remember these people? Like, I want it to be a good story, but even on just a nostalgia level, it will be very nice to see them back. My only concern that I have with them coming back right now is that, and it's just very unfortunate with the timing, is that we know Jodie Whittaker is regenerating in her special later this year. She gets her final special and she'll probably be regenerating at the end of it. And then there has been no announcement of the next series of Doctor Who that is going to come out between that regeneration and the 60th anniversary special. So it is very possible, though they might do specials in between, and I really hope they do, but it is very, very possible that Gatwa's first full appearance as the Doctor will be in the 60th anniversary special, which will also feature now the 10th Doctor and Donna Noble in it, which has the potential to overshadow his very first adventure, which would be mildly unfortunate. I really do think that you need to have the Doctor be able to stand on his or her own in the first sort of episode that they appear in, and I worry that having these two back will overshadow what should be a triumphant moment for this character to have him have to share the screen with these two, even though I love them. So that is a mild concern that I have. But that being said, I could still see it being something that works out in the long run of it. Like, maybe you have David Tennant coming in and, like, giving guidance to him, or like him sort of playing coy to David Tennant, and, like, him being, like, the older, wiser one and actually getting to help David Tennant. I think all of those options are pretty cool, and I think you could tell that story. I trust Russell T Davies. He is such a fantastic writer that I think I trust him to make that choice well. I hope, and I kind of am saddened by this argument, but given that, if this is the case, that this is Gatwa's first story as the Doctor, while I would absolutely freaking adore Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi coming back to their roles for the 60th anniversary special as well as Christopher Eccleston, though I don't really consider that to be on the table given the strained relationships between Russell T Davies and Christopher Eccleston, though maybe they'll work it out and it'll figure something out. That would be wonderful, but probably on Davies to go and apologize to Eccleston given what we know about that story. But while I would love that, I really do hope the focus is able to remain on Gatwa, and then we get a little bit of these two just having fun on screen together as well in that special. Now, that does not mean that we might get a special between the regeneration of Jodie and the 60th anniversary, and I think that would probably be ideal. I mean, a full series would be ideal, but I doubt they'll have time for that in between now and then to film all of that. But a special certainly is possible, given that they could, like, film something to sort of slot in there beforehand while they're just sort of filming now, because they are filming now the 60th special with David Tennant and sort of getting that done because they schedule availability with David Tennant and such, and then they'll sort of slot in the special and film it afterwards, but release it before. Very possible. I really hope that the case, that would be ideal, but we'll ultimately see what happens. But I am just very excited for this news, and my only concern is the possible overshadowing of Gatwa. And quite literally, as I was editing this video, we got some set photos that show that Wilf is coming back for the special as well. Oh my god, my little adorable Wilf! Which, to be fair, makes perfect sense considering that Donna is coming back. So, makes sense that Wilf is coming back. And like Donna and David Tennant themselves have returned to Big Finish, Wilf is actually just recently in a David Tennant Doctor Who thing on Big Finish. So, all three of these folks have been involved in Doctor Who since leaving, and it's nice to see them back on screen. And especially Wilf, I just want to, oh my god, he's so Oh God, I love him so much. And then on top of that, there was also some rumors, we haven't gotten this confirmed, but there were some supposed images that might be Peter Capaldi or Matt Lucas as well filming on Doctor Who. Matt Lucas obviously being one of Peter Capaldi's companions for his last series. So really exciting. Oh my God, Peter Capaldi back too. Freaking exciting. Again, just going with what I was saying before, all this is really cool, and I hope if we're getting Peter Capaldi and David Tennant back, then I hope that Matt Smith is not far behind, because it would just be so amazing to get all of them. Like Matt Smith, also my boy with Doctor Who. I love him so much. That being said, I will say this does compound my fears of the 14th Doctor getting overshadowed a lot in the 60th anniversary special. So super exciting, a bit worrisome on that front, but for the most part, just so ecstatic and excited for all of these announcements. Though, to be entirely fair, while we do know Wilf is coming back because we do have pictures of him, Peter Capaldi and Matt Lucas are not confirmed. Just want to be clear on that. But all that excitement aside, there is still one more extremely exciting announcement that happened today as of filming, is that we got the announcement of Yasmin Finney, and again, apologies if I said her name wrong, as the new companion for Gatwa's Doctor, playing the character named Rose. Now, few things with this casting. Obviously, just on name alone, we hear the name Rose, and we think of Rose Tyler from Russel T Davies' very first and second series with Billie Piper playing Rose. And that has to be some sort of connection there, right? Like, you're bringing back Russel T Davies, he's starting with a character named Rose. Maybe it will just be a cosmic coincidence and, like, just something that Gatwa's Doctor will sort of joke about or think about or just sort of be drawn to in terms of the name. But it's also very possible that she's playing a daughter of Rose. I've seen that as sort of a rumor going around. I don't know if that was confirmed. But it is an interesting choice. And again, leaning into that nostalgia thing that I'm a little bit nervous about in terms of Russel T Davies coming back. Like, it looks like Russel T Davies is ready to forge the path forward for Doctor Who instead of, like, just relying on nostalgia. So I'm curious to see what he's planning to do with a character named Rose, given that we've had a character named Rose created by him all those years ago. So interesting choice on name. But the other probably more very pertinent thing, especially to me, is the fact that Yasmin is transgender, and this will make her the first on-screen transgender companion of the Doctor, as well as, I believe, the first transgender woman of color. Obviously not the first woman of color Doctor companion, but the first transgender woman of color, which is just so cool to see. And by the way, I should make note, she is the first on-screen transgender companion, because we have had Rebecca Root in the Big Finish audio productions with the 8th Doctor and the Stranded audio dramas, which you should also check out because those are all good. I'm just chilling for the Big Finish dramas at this point. But also there's the Doctor Who Redacted audio drama series that Jodie has appeared in, and that has also written and stars a lot of transgender characters in that as well. And by the way, I might actually be reviewing Doctor Who Redacted on this channel, and I've also reviewed Doctor Who Stranded as well on this channel up here with the wonderful Philip Hawkins, so go check out those things. I'll talk about those later. But getting back to Yasmin, again, I have not seen her. She has appeared in Heartstoppers, and I know y'all have been yelling at me to watch Heartstoppers. I will watch it at some point. This is more poking for me to get just on that show. I've been so busy. I promise you I will watch it at some point and maybe do a video essay or at least a review on this channel on it when I get to it. But from what we've heard, she is fantastic in that show, and it is just so nice, again, to see Russel T Davies really working to push representation on screen with all of the casting that he has done so far. Now, obviously, as we know from Chris Chibnall's era, you can't just rely on diversity alone. You need to back it up with good stories. So we'll see how that eventually goes. But just casting alone, I think this is just, it's so nice, especially around the world, but in the United Kingdom specifically, there's been such an attack on transgender rights, specifically coming from the government there, as well as gender-critical feminist groups, sort of kind of championed mostly by J.K. Rowling there, but obviously there's a lot more like the LGBT Alliance and things like that that are really targetedly attacking trans people. So to see Russel T Davies just being a continued ally of the trans community, especially in the face of the BBC being also highly transphobic, and I've talked about that in other videos as well, it makes me very happy to see that. And I had no doubt of that. I mean, this is the man who called the, like, very limited, like, one-off sentence Fenton's bisexual representation of Loki in the MCU a craven, futile gesture, as well as just all of his media beyond Doctor Who that he's done that has always been very queer and very queer inclusive, him himself being a gay man. He's just a fantastic ally, and I'm just very excited to see him continuing that with Doctor Who and bringing that to Doctor Who, especially in the light of all the stuff going on in the United Kingdom. And I will be very honest and frank, there is a little bit of part of me, not a part that I'm necessarily proud of, but there is a little bit of part of me that is kind of pleased that this casting of both the Doctor and the Doctor's companion will kind of be a moment to just kind of say, like, screw you to a lot of those people that are complaining about, like, oh, Chris Chibnall ruined Doctor Who with his woke agenda and diversity pushing, and oh, we were so excited to bring back Russell T Davies because he'll, like, fix Doctor Who and get it right and he won't put in this woke agenda. Dang, SJW's ruining my Doctor Who. Like, I always thought that that was ridiculous because it just showed when people said that they were just going off of nostalgia alone, forgetting that, number one, Russell T Davies' era was always pretty woke, especially for the time. Like, the man had lesbians and, like, going after politics with, like, Torchwood, and very much in the Doctor Who series. Like, literally in the first season, he basically said that all of, like, government in the UK was, like, farting aliens, and just, like, that's all they were doing. The man wrote Queer as Folk, and also It's a Sin, and Years and Years. Like, all of these things are incredibly didactically political and inclusive, and just talking about very pertinent issues today. So it's just very clear to me whenever I see those, like, outrage channels ranting about SJWs and stuff that they really are just fueled on just not understanding or intentionally, deliberately misunderstanding and misrepresenting to their audience these, like, creators and stories, because they don't really understand what these stories actually say or mean, or the creators that behind them are actually doing. And yes, they may hit upon accidentally this idea that, like, you need to actually back up diverse casting with, like, actually telling good stories. You can't just rely on checking the diversity boxes and getting tokenism and all that stuff. Like, they are correct in that, but they will then blame the actual casting of diverse people as the problem, rather than the fact that just good stories aren't being told while also including diverse people and representing people authentically within those stories. Like, that's not the problem. Diversity is not the problem. It's, you know, just telling good stories, and that can be told badly or well with or without diverse people, as we can clearly see. Though I'm certain some of those groups will probably just use this as the next, like, oh, look, they're gonna ruin Doctor Who next, and fuel their outrage machine to continue the cycle to make money. Because that's what they do, and that's sadly the case. But I will take this as a win and just get a little bit of enjoyment on that level out of it. But I think on the larger scale note, having a transgender companion for Doctor Who, in the light of everything going on in the world right now towards trans people, it's so meaningful to me. It's so cool to see, especially transgender women of color, a black woman getting to play this role, also fantastic. Across the board, outside of my one hesitation of Gatwa possibly being overshadowed by David Tennant in his first special, outside of that minor concern and trust that I'm putting in Russell T Davies to handle that well, other than that, everything coming out of Doctor Who right now has me very pumped and very excited. A little sad that Jodie's regeneration is kind of getting overshadowed by everything and the excitement coming after her. Kind of unfortunate for her. But at the end of the day, looking forward past that. While I am looking forward to Jodie's final story, I'm very excited for even further down the road. But I'd love to hear all of your thoughts on this Doctor Who casting below. What do you think? Are you as excited as I am? I'd love to know your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more discussions of Doctor Who and Star Trek and all that stuff here. I also have my main channel, Jessie, so don't forget to subscribe over there because I got some great videos coming out. I'm very excited for a lot of the stuff there. I also have a podcast called Jumpgate that I do with Vera Wild, where we rewatch Babylon 5 episodes, which I'm also excited about. That's down below. But beyond all that, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you, as always, my friends, live long and prosper. Oh, forgot to do this. There you go.